The sound of my wife's laughter shattered me. It wasn't just laughter. It was the kind I hadn't heard in years, full and alive, spilling through the thin crack of her phone pressed to her ear. And it wasn't meant for me. I stood in the kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator and the tick of the wall clock suddenly unbearably loud as I listened. She was leaning against the hallway wall, whispering, giggling, and saying things in a tone she never used with me anymore. That was the first time the truth pressed itself against my chest so heavily I could barely breathe. "Claire," I called softly, masking the tremor in my voice. "Dinner's ready." She startled, turning toward me like a teenager caught sneaking out. The smile drained from her face in an instant, and she muttered into the phone, "I'll call you later." Later. Not goodbye. Not take care. Just later. That single word told me more than she realized. The slow unraveling. I tried to dismiss it at first. We'd been married 12 years. Long enough for ruts, long enough for silence, long enough for her to crave attention I hadn't given as often as I should. Maybe I was imagining things, overreacting. But then there were the late-night showers. The sudden trips to the store for things we didn't really need. The way she started sleeping with her phone under her pillow. And the lies. Small, careless lies that didn't match up when I pressed her. I became a detective in my own home, watching the woman I loved like she was a stranger I couldn't trust. One night, unable to sleep, I unlocked her iPad. She'd forgotten to log out. There it was. Messages. Pictures. Words that burned my eyes and twisted my stomach. Her world with him laid out in glowing text. The man was a coworker. David. A name she'd mentioned casually months ago. The kind of name I hadn't thought twice about. Now I couldn't stop thinking about it. "You make me feel alive again. I can't wait until we're alone." And her reply that gutted me completely. "Mark doesn't see me anymore. Not the way you do." The confrontation. I confronted her the next morning. My voice shook, my heart pounded so loud I could hear it in my ears. "Who is David?" Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. The cereal in her bowl went soggy as she blinked at me, lips parting but no words coming out. Finally she whispered, I can explain." But there was no explanation that mattered. "You've been lying to me. Sneaking around. Laughing with him like you used to laugh with me." My throat tightened. Was any of this real, Claire? Or have I just been your roommate these past few years? She broke down, tears spilling, hands trembling. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I was lonely. You're always working, always tired, and he noticed me." Her words stabbed like knives. I wanted to scream, to smash something, to demand she pack her things and get out. But all I managed was silence. A silence that filled every corner of the kitchen until it suffocated both of us. I didn't leave her that day. I didn't forgive her either. Instead, we lived in limbo. Two ghosts haunting the same house. Then she got sick. It started as fatigue, then fevers that wouldn't break. The doctors ran tests, blood work, scans. Finally, the diagnosis landed like a stone dropped in water, sending ripples through our already fractured lives. Leukemia. The word turned everything upside down. Suddenly, her affair seemed like both everything and nothing at all. She sat on the hospital bed, pale and shaking, eyes wide with fear. "Mark, I don't want to die." And against all logic, against every ounce of bitterness inside me, I took her hand. Because for 12 years she had been my wife. Because beneath the betrayal was still the woman I had built a life with. Because I wasn't ready to let her go, even if she had already let me go in other ways. The battle. Hospital visits. Nights spent holding her hair back as she vomited into the toilet. Days when she was too weak to move from bed. I became her caretaker, her driver, her advocate. The man who sat by her side when she was at her most broken. But every time she whispered, "Thank you," every time she leaned into me for comfort, I felt the wound of her betrayal reopen. I was torn in half, between compassion and resentment, between love and hate. There were nights I stared at her while she slept, hollowed out by illness, and wondered if I was a fool for staying. Then there were mornings when she smiled at me, fragile but genuine, and I remembered the girl I married, the one who once danced barefoot in our kitchen. The unexpected apology. One evening, during a rare stretch of energy, she looked at me with tears in her eyes. "I don't deserve you." I said nothing, just waited. Her lips trembled. "David hasn't called." "Not once." I thought he cared, but I was just a distraction for him. And I threw away everything for that. For nothing. Her confession hit me harder than the affair itself. Not because I wanted her to miss him, but because it confirmed what I already knew. I had been the one who truly stayed, even when she hadn't. "I betrayed you," she whispered. "And then you saved me anyway." "Why?" I swallowed hard, staring at the ford dripping into her arm. "Because once, a long time ago, I promised I would. For better or worse." Her sobs shook her frail frame. She clung to me like a drowning woman desperate for shore. The turning point. As the months dragged on, something shifted. She began to see me, not as the man she took for granted, but as the one still standing when everyone else had vanished. Her eyes lingered longer, her gratitude ran deeper. And me. I started to heal too. Not from her betrayal, not completely, but from the anger that had been poisoning me. One night she said softly, "If I survive this, I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." I didn't answer. Not because I doubted her sincerity, but because I didn't know if I had enough strength left to believe in promises anymore. The end I didn't expect. Months later, the doctors finally said the word we'd both been waiting for. Remission. She cried. It felt like life had handed us a second chance. But here's the truth I never told her. By then I was already gone inside. Yes, I had cared for her. Yes, I had stayed when she needed me most. But somewhere along the way, my love had transformed into something else. Duty. Compassion. Habit. The betrayal had built a wall I couldn't climb back over, no matter how many tears we shed or how many nights we clung to each other in fear. When she was finally strong enough, I told her the words I'd been holding back for months. "Claire, I'll always care about you. I'll always be grateful for the years we had. But I can't be your husband anymore." Her face crumpled. "But, after everything, I stayed when you needed me. But I can't stay forever. Not like this. Not after what happened." It was the hardest decision of my life. Harder than forgiving her. Harder than watching her fight cancer. But it was also the most honest one. The final goodbye. I moved out a month later. She tried to fight it, tried to promise change, but deep down she knew the truth. She had lost me long before the cancer, long before the diagnosis. She lost me the moment she chose someone else to laugh with. I still visit sometimes as a friend. I still check in. But when I leave her house and close the door behind me, I breathe easier. She betrayed me. Then she fell sick. And I responded not with revenge or abandonment, but with care, with loyalty, with love. But in the end, my response wasn't what she expected. 'Cause I saved her life. But I couldn't save our marriage.